I'd like to call to order this evening's ZBA Board of Adjustment for the Town of Londonderry, February 15th, 2023. Before we begin this evening's meeting, I'd like to go over the rules that will follow. I ask that everyone at least put your cell phones in vibrate or turn them off during the meeting. The applicant will be asked to approach, state their name for the record. The case will be read into the record. The applicant will then be asked to present their case and what they're coming to the board for relief for. Once they do that, the applicant will may be asked questions by the board members, if we have any questions for what was presented. The applicant will then respond. Once that is over, we then take it out to the public, anyone for the applicant, give them a chance to ask any questions of the applicant, and then the applicant has the chance to reply. We then go out back to the audience for anyone in opposition. And again, the applicant is allowed to go over any questions and concerns that is brought up for someone who is not for the applicant. We ask that when you come to the microphone, whether you are for or against the applicant, that you state your name and address for the record. And when you are speaking, you must go through the board. You're not to speak directly to the applicant. That way we can keep the meeting at one voice. We'll conduct it. Just speak directly to us and we'll keep the conversation going. We'll bring it back to the board for any further questions if there was anything that came out of the for or against or the applicant that we're not sure of. When there is no further comments either for or against or the applicant, we then close the hearing. We go into deliberations, and you may stay for that, or it will be posted at the town. We also ask that you keep the podium when you come up to be sure to clearly state your name and address for the record so that we know who attended and who you are. We will now begin the meeting. And the first order of business, before we do the first order of business, we're going to introduce everybody on the board so that way you know who we are. And I'd like to start with Kelly, if you'd like to start off.
Sure. Kelly Karen, Assistant Town Manager and Director of Economic Development.
And Kevin,
Mike Malaguti, I'm the town
Mike.
manager.
sorry.
Irene Macarelli, full member.
Brendan O'Brien, full member.
Jackie Bernard, full member.
Suzanne Brunel, full member.
Mitch Feig, full member.
Chris Moore, alternate member.
So now that you know all of us, we'll begin our meeting. So the first order of business will be the draft minutes to approve. Tonight, we have, we'll go to the oldest first. We have the minutes from September 21st, 2022 to approve.
We do? I thought we've got December and,
I have September in here that we never did.
I think we did those.
There is no signature. Yeah. So the September 21st meeting, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from September 22nd,
21st?
21st, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The next minutes would be from the 11/16/2022 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I think we've approved these, you just haven't signed them.
No, that one is signed.
This one is signed, okay.
Well, it's not signed.
It's not signed, no.
Well, there was a vote on it.
I'm pretty sure we haven't skipped that many,
Okay,
but we can vote on it if we want.
let's do it for the record. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the November minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next minute of the meetings from December 21st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
It says December, is it December 21st or the 22nd? It says on the agenda the 22nd. Is it the 21st?
On
Yeah, I
my
think so.
meeting sheet, it says the 21st.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 21st, 2022.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, not January. We should be approving from the minutes from January 18th.
Yes, do we have,
It's a draft, but
it's a draft. Kelly,
Does it say draft on it?
it just says draft.
We can remove that.
Okay. Okay, so the next minutes to approve would be from the January 18th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I noticed a blank in it on line 86. It's quoting me. It says, "It shows blank." So it shows a list of the only things that you can do, and it struck me as confusing. I think I said challenging, but I'm okay with either.
Okay. Kelly, do you have that for the? Okay. Do we have to have that officially typed up before we can approve them, or is this good? Okay.
You just make sure the motion is as amended.
Okay. So do I have a motion for the January 18th, 2023, Mitch?
I'll make a motion for the January 18th, 2023 minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes, the portion of our draft minutes of approval is done. Do we have a report by the town liaison? Can you please come to the mic and state your name? Thank you.
Counselor Deb Paul, and I have nothing to discuss at the moment.
Thank you. Regional impact determinations.
Do you have the form?
I have the forms.
Okay,
I'm going to read them and then I can give them to you.
thank you.
I have 3 for you this evening. Would you like to vote on them separately or read them all and then?
We usually do them, we read them all, and then we do it as a
Sure.
whole.
So the first is a request for a variance from Londonderry zoning ordinance, section 4.12, use table to allow manufacturing use in the AR1 zone, which is otherwise prohibited. 83 Litchfield Road, map 11, lot 85, zoned AR1. Michaela Waldron is the owner, and John Thompson is the applicant. And staff recommends that this project is not of regional impact. The second is a request for a variance from LZO 4.2.1.3.A.1 to allow a duplex on a lot with only 100 feet of frontage where 150 feet are required. 532 Mammoth Road, map 15, lot 222, zoned AR1. Patricia and David Robbins are the owners and applicants, and staff is recommending that this is not of regional impact. We have a request for a variance from LZO 4.12, use table to allow vehicle sales wholesale in the C1 zone, which is otherwise prohibited, 184 Mammoth Road, Unit 3, Map 6, Lot 72C, Zoned C1. MKZ Auto LLC is the owner, and Raul Talwar is the applicant, and staff is recommending that this is not of regional impact.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the regional impact determinations.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are now ready for the public hearing of cases.
Could you give me the voting sheets? Just so I know?
Sure can.
Ready for the first case?
Ready for the first case?
Case number 2-15-23-1, a request for a variance from LZO 4.12 use table to allow a manufacturing use in the AR1 zone, which is otherwise prohibited, 83 Litchfield Road, map 11, lot 85, zoned AR1, Michaela Waldron, owner, and John Thompson, applicant. There is no prior zoning for this property.
Thank you. Those involved for the case, you may approach.
I think she's standing at the.
You can have a
You
seat.
can, you can have a seat.
Michaela Waldron, 83 Litchfield Road. We are looking to convert our current garage into a space for manufacturing brewing beer. We are looking to manufacture on a small scale with no employees, just ourselves. And without this, we aren't able to get the licensing to do that legally. We're looking to go to local farmers markets. Everything is just built with the applicant and myself. There is no change to the outside structure of the home. We will be changing one door to allow for easier access, but there will also be no change in traffic as it's not open to the public. It will only be open to ourselves. In terms of any other impact, distribution will be based solely on ourselves. We're not hiring anybody else to do this.
Okay, and do you have your packet that you filled out when you first applied?
Yes.
So you'll need to go through the 5 points of law, 1 through 5, that's on your packet. Okay?
It will not be contrary to the public interest. This will not cause an increase in traffic flow through Litchfield Road. It will not cause an increase in visitors to the current residents, and it will cause no visual disturbances to the property. I don't have the second page, but I can speak to it. There is, in terms of spirit of the ordinance, there is no change to structure or impediments to local traffic, noise, or visual restrictions, and this would allow us to create local business and revenue. Substantial justice is done. No harm will come to the community, but without it, we are unable to go through this process to get the licensing that we need. The value of the local properties will not be diminished. We are not bringing in any outsiders to the area. Everything will remain the same. And I'm sorry, I don't have that second page, so I think I covered what you needed, but
We have a copy you can borrow.
thank you.
We'll go through that. We're going to clear that up so that you can understand. Yeah, we have to let her finish, though. Okay, great.
If she could get on the
Yeah.
mic.
And ma'am, if you bring the mic a little
Yeah,
closer.
no problem.
there
I'm
you
so
go.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, the spirit of the ordinance is observed. It will not increase traffic flow or disturb the neighborhood. It will not alter the building structure or create any hazard to the community. No trucks or heavy equipment will be needed. Substantial justice is done. There would be no negative effects to the community. This would not increase traffic flow or obstruct any safety concerns. No hazardous materials are used in the production. The value of surrounding properties will not be diminished. It'll actually make them more appealing as our house will no longer have a garage. And that garage will be converted into a workspace. No fair and substantial relationship exists. This will cause no hardship or any negative effects to the overall construction to the property, even if the ordinance were to be removed. The proposed use is a reasonable one. Converting the garage into livable square footage will have no negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood. 5B, converting garage into a usable workspace for brewing with no other use. This space will be solely be for brewing with the option to convert into livable space in the future.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions from the board, please?
So when you say the garage will be changed, how will the garage's appearance from the road change?
From the outside, we'll be removing the garage door and putting French doors in. Other than that, there will be no change.
Any other questions from the board? Go ahead, Mitch.
I'm not a brewer, so I don't know, do you use any chemicals when you're brewing?
There is a food grade sanitizer that is used, and that would be the only chemical outside of a natural food, such as grain, water, and flavorings.
And what
Yeast.
about smells, aromas in the surrounding area?
Yeah, so we currently are brewing on a weekly basis, and that just for family and friends. And there have been no smells in the around the house.
Thank you.
Any other
Yeah,
questions?
could you explain the licensing? I'm not following why this is required.
Because in order to get a nano brewing license, we need to have a space that is separated from a main house so it's set up just for that, so that it's safe and clean and protected for the product that you're creating. So without a space like that, we are unable to get the licensing.
And the license is necessary to sell it only, correct?
And who will you be selling it to?
We're looking to do farmers markets in the summer and then try to get into local stores. And that's our vision is very local. We're not looking to expand.
So there's no intent to have people come by and pick
No.
up a few?
No, this is just him and I.
So of the 5 criteria, number 5 deals with the hardship and why your property or your situation is different, that you should be given dispensation from the zoning requirements versus anybody else in your neighborhood. I don't see anything here that rises to that level that shows me why your property would be different. Can you explain?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Number 5 is you have to show hardship, unnecessary hardship. So why is your property deemed a hardship in relation to all others around you?
So, for example, we often have people come here and they're looking to put their shed someplace that's too close to a lot line, and that is the only place that they're able to put it due to various factors. They might have a septic system, they might have a fence, they might have a pool, they might have ledge. So their hardship is there's no other place to put that shed, so I need to put my shed closer to the lot line that is allowed. So here, you're asking us to allow you to manufacture in your neighborhood. Why is your property different that we should allow you to manufacture when we're not allowing other properties in your neighborhood to manufacture?
I believe that our property it's the only place that we can do this. Without this place, without doing it in our home, we are unable to continue down this path, which becomes an economic situation, which means that we are unable to stay in Londonderry.
Let me ask you this. When you look at your property straight on from the street, to the left, do you have a neighbor or is it a field there?
We have a lot. It's owned by a neighbor, but it's an open lot.
Okay. And behind you, do you have anybody or is it just trees?
We have a line of trees, and you can see the houses in the winter, but you cannot see them in the summer.
Okay.
Any other questions before I just have a few?
Good.
So you're brewing. What are you brewing?
We brew beer.
And the byproduct of brewing beer is what?
You would have grain, used grain, sugar and water runoff. and that would be our byproduct.
The used grain, how do you dispose of the used grain?
Currently, it's put in the trash. The goal is to partner with local farmers for the spent grain. They can use that on their farms. You can also use it in baking and other products that farms make. That's the goal. Should that not occur, we would be utilizing the trash.
And the sugar and other byproducts that are a result of brewing beer and that water runoff, it just runs where?
It's collected in a steam condenser on the brewing equipment, and you're able to then take that collected water and use it to clean the machinery.
The food grade sanitizer that you are using for your brewing, how is that stored? How is that after you've sanitized? Where does that sanitizer go?
Yeah, so it would be the same as in any local restaurant, that when they use that and they wipe down their sinks and things like that, we store it in a cabinet. It is stored separate. It's in a container. It comes in a plastic container with a screw top. You dilute it with water, and then you soak, and you can pour it out.
Do you have septic or do you,
We have septic.
okay. Do you have well
Yes.
water? Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, I'm going to open up to the public. Is there anyone that would like to speak on behalf of the applicant that would like to approach? Let the record show there's no one approaching on behalf of the applicant. Is there anyone who is against the applicant that would like to speak? Please come to the mic and state your name and address, please.
Alan Saulnier, 81 Litchfield Road. I also own that lot in between us. I'm in a quandary here because I am neither for nor against because I didn't have enough information. My only concern is manufacturing, and it's a variance which is condemned to the land. If this was a a special exception as a home occupation, I'd have absolutely no issue. But you're putting a very specific variance in a residential area, agricultural area, which then sets precedence for other areas in town. Wonderful neighbor. We've had absolutely no issues. I wish you'd come and talk to us ahead of time because I had very little information to go on. My concern is the manufacturing. That is a serious change of zoning for this town. I know more now. She has hit all the points. No increase in parking, no signage, I believe. No. No outside employees. No, those are all important issues. But to take and put a manufacturing, and is it light manufacturing? It doesn't say what kind of manufacturing. Light manufacturing? What kind of manufacturing? The variance goes with the land. They move out, the next person comes in, they own a piece of property, which is manufacturing. A home occupation, special exception, it's so much simpler. I imagine she had good information from the zoning department, which put her in this situation. So that's the quandary I'm in.
Is there any other questions you would like to know that you didn't get clear answers on that the applicant would help you?
No,
Okay,
I
you're all
think- I
set.
know my grandson was involved in brewing, so I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
My problem is why are we putting a variance, a severe variance, condemnation on that land? That is it's with the land. A variance goes with the land. And that's the only concern I have, is you set a precedence, and that can spread around. Because they always come back when you come before the zoning board and said, well, so-and-so, lot such and such has a variance, why can't I? And then you end up in court.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of the applicant?
Deb Paul, 118 Hardy Road. I agree with what he said. You're setting precedent, and it does go with the property. You don't know what's going to come in next. I would like to know if the applicant had the well tested for PFOAs, because it does not cook out of the water if you're using it to distribute. It concerns me. The other thing is, I don't want to hurt a small business or someone trying to start a business. I'd like to suggest to the applicant that there is a cook place in Derry that allows you to use their facility to manufacture and bake products. The other thing that concerns me is, does fire looked at this? Those tanks, the pressure, that's dangerous. I've seen that blow up a house, a roof right off the house in my hometown of Revere. So I'd like to know if the fire department has looked at this and even discussed what the safeties are. I'd hate to see a whole neighborhood, catch on fire because of a pressure explosion. Thank you.
So you have the opportunity in which to respond to the question.
So in terms of the water, we are in the process of having it tested so that we can get the whole house filter placed on. It will be retested to ensure that there are no PFOAs. Should we continue to have a problem with that, we are already getting our water delivered. We will increase the water delivery as part of our supply. In terms of the fire, we have not reached out to the fire department at this time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could just add something
Yes.
related to the inspection process by the fire department, that would be conducted at the time of building permit, if needed.
Yes.
So if this board were to grant the variance, that would be addressed.
Okay,
in the
thank you.
inspections.
All right, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Any other questions?
Yeah, I did have one question just in relation to what they had said as well. What made you decide to go with a variance instead of a special exception in this case, or were you presented with the information on what a special exception could do?
Yeah, so I actually am representing the applicant. He came and discussed all the options and decided that this was his best option. I was not presented because I'm representing him tonight.
Look at the zone.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions of the board at this time?
Well, I want to ask, Kelly, did the applicant approach you and talk to you or someone else about whether they should apply for a special exception or variance?
My understanding is the applicant had a conversation with Nick Codner, our zoning administrator, and he came to this determination. I believe Nick's here, so he'd like to speak to it.
Nick, can you speak to it?
Yeah, I decided to advise him to seek a variance because of home occupation, the town would not have as much control if the business grows. We didn't want to see manufacturing business in the AR district that is highly successful and grows out of control.
Would that not be the case with the variance, Nick? In this case, wouldn't the manufacturing also allow for,
Well, with the variance, you're allowed to put conditions on it. With the home occupation, especially if we said you can have a home occupation by right, then we wouldn't be putting any conditions on it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have any other questions of the board? I'm going to take it out to the audience one last time. If anyone has any for or against on this case, you'll need to come to the mic, sir, and then state your name and address for the record.
Raul Talwar, 184 Mammoth. I'm here for my own variance. But if the business were to grow, I'm pretty sure she won't necessarily do it in the garage once it grows to the level where she needs the rental space. That'll be the only thing I would suggest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Walter Bandersky, 294 High Range Road. Is this, the size of what she's doing conditional? I mean, if she gets bigger, can she expand on the property?
So this is why we have this meeting, so that the applicant has the opportunity to express to the board what it is that she would like to do.
Okay.
And with all the questions that we asked, that's because we don't have enough information from the application itself.
Okay, so she wants a blue
That this
beer, am I right?
this discovery part is part of
Okay.
that process. So that's the questions that we
I
will.
would just have a problem with any water runoff on the property, because my property abuts the wood line she's talking about. And we have a water course that runs through the back there. That would be a problem. Okay,
Thank you very much, sir.
you're welcome.
Do we have anyone else that would like to speak? Please approach the mic, state your name and address.
Thank you, Deb Paul. Just on what he said, could we find out is it going to be the same size as the garage, or is she going to expand? Do we have the dimensions and where it would be placed? Is it going to be in the exact same position? That would be good to know. And if it is going to expand, what kind of materials she's going to use?
So the equipment, where is it going to actually be located, and how much of the equipment?
All the equipment will be inside the standing garage. We are not expanding the garage or changing the outside structure at all.
You did state you were going to change a door.
The door, I'm sorry. We will change one door.
And which door was that?
Instead of the front-facing garage door, will be replaced with a pair of French doors.
I do have a question, before I ask. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. The odor in which the brewing of your product, how much odor do you have that?
So it is like akin to baking bread in your house. You smell it inside the house, right on the periphery, but from the driveway or from the street, you don't smell it.
How many gallons do you anticipate that you're going to be manufacturing?
Yeah, well, one tub will make about 5 gallons. One batch will be about 5 gallons of beer. We're looking to make about 2 batches a week. So through the course of the summer, 16 to 20 gallons.
And out of these, if we use your 20-gallon analysis, we go the far end of the scale, the 20-gallon analysis, what is the byproduct of the grain from 20 gallons?
Yeah, so it's about a 4-pound, when you're done, you have about a 4 to 5 pound bag of grain left over. So that would be that times 20, so it'd be about twice a week. We're planning on doing 2 batches a week. So in a trash cycle, it would be about 16 pounds of grain.
And the water that would run off from this process for 20 gallons? What's the runoff?
I'm unsure of that calculation. I can get back to you.
If you were to manufacture 5 gallons, what's your best estimate for water runoff for 5 gallons?
Less than a gallon.
When do you manufacture the beer?
We would be doing it during the weekdays, twice during the week, during the day.
So presently you use your water from your well, but you would potentially, if you had PFOAs or if your water wasn't testing, you would have water delivered to your property.
Presently, we do have water delivered. We do not brew beer currently with our well water. We use our delivered water for that.
How much water is delivered every week?
Currently, we get 5 gallons delivered a week.
5 gallons of water?
I'm sorry, the five gallons. So 25 gallons.
25, okay. Does the equipment make any noise?
It will make the noise of a low hum. Again, you would be able to hear it if you were in the room. You might hear it if you were in a different part of the house, but from the street, you would not hear it.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Will all of the brewing equipment and all of the brewing be done exclusively in the garage?
Yes.
So there won't be any other storage or any other business needs for the remainder of the house?
No.
I think a condition of everything being contained to the garage might be.
Well, we have to discuss that after we
After.
close the public part of this hearing. Are we all set? Do we have any other questions of the applicant? Okay. At this time, we're going to close the public portion of the meeting while we go into deliberations.
Just to restate, I think that if we were to grant, and I'm not even voting, the variance could be limited to the existing garage structure with no additional manufacturing being done outside of that portion of the property.
Does anybody think that would just be the start?
I agree.
Do we have any other comments or things that we have to hash out? I am not going to get past the hardship issue, so.
It's not a unique property.
Okay. Mitch, do you have any other comments, or do you have anything that we have to discuss before we go to the 5 points of law? You're good? Irene? Okay. So, manufacturing, we're talking about beer today, but it opens up the door. And I just want to, that's my comment before we go into the 5 points of law. We have water being delivered today, 25 gallons a week. If the manufacturing in this process for the beer, if it becomes very successful, what's to say that we don't have 100 gallons of water every week delivered? This is an AR1 zone, and the manufacturing label is not exclusive to only beer. So that's just my comments before we go into the 5 points of law. Okay. Does anybody else have anything before we vote? Okay, we're ready.
Granting the variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because.
I say would, I said it would alter the character of the neighborhood by placing an ability to manufacture in a residential neighborhood.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Spirit of the ordinance would or would not be observed because.
Okay, so this brings us into health, safety, or welfare. I think some issues were raised with concern with regard to possible fire hazards, runoff, manufacturing. I think we heard a few areas of concern with regard to potential safety issues.
I agree, I think the spirit wouldn't be observed.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
We have a byproduct concern and groundwater.
Granting the variance would run to substantial justice because. I think it would not.
I agree.
I think possible loss to public, especially the abutters, is greater than the gain to the applicant.
Agreed.
Agree.
For the following reasons, the values of the surrounding property would or would not be diminished.
So there was nothing presented one way or the other on this, but I think due to all the issues that we've already discussed with the change of character of the neighborhood, that there may be some safety issues, I think that arguably there could be some loss of the value of the surrounding properties.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship. As A, there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because.
So manufacturing is not allowed in this particular zone. I believe that that is the underlying purpose of the ordinance, and there's nothing here or brought forth that was shown that this property is unique, which would allow a manufacturing component to it.
I agree.
I agree.
The proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because.
It's not.
I agree. Manufacturing in the AR zone is not.
This is a residential.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Well, we can do 5B as well.
Did she?
Did you do that? Converting garage into usable workspace for brewing with no other.
So there is another use that is reasonable for that particular property in that zone,
Yeah, I agree.
currently being residential. Thank you for catching that.
It is optional. It's up to the board, if you want her to respond.
Okay, we don't have any comments or conditions or anything else? Good. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion in case number 215-23-1 to deny the request for a variance from LZO 4.1.2 use table to allow manufacturing use in the R1 zone, which is otherwise prohibited. 83 Litchfield Road, map 11, lot 85, zone AR1. McKay Waldron, owner, and John Thompson, applicant.
I have a second. And the motion was to deny?
Correct.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
In case number 215-23-1, the request for a variance was denied.
Thank you.
You ready for the next one?
We are ready.
Case number 215-2023-2, a request for a variance from LZO 4.2.1.3.8.1 to allow a duplex on a lot with only 100 feet of frontage where 150 feet are required, 532 Mammoth Road, map 15, lot 222, zoned AR1, Patricia and David Robbins, owners and applicants. There is prior zoning, and the only relevant one is from 2009. There was an area variance to allow an existing single-family dwelling to be converted to a two-family dwelling duplex with less than the required frontage and lot size, which was granted with restrictions.
Patricia Robbins, 532A Mammoth Road.
Good evening, Dave Robbins, 532A Mammoth Road.
You may begin.
So would it be beneficial to kind of go to the prior variance that was granted on the house and then kind of give a history and then move forward to what we're doing now? Would that be helpful or?
It's not necessary at this
Okay.
time.
Okay, so basically what we're addressing this evening is the same thing that was addressed in the prior variance with restriction. We have a lot of land in the village, which many of you know is a little different than the rest of the town. It was, the lot lines were laid out long before the zoning ordinances were done, so they're kind of unique. Our particular lot of land on Mammoth Road has 100 feet in width, and it diminishes to the east to 22 feet in width, so it's kind of pie-shaped. So the prior variance made us a two-family house with a restriction of 3 bedrooms. Patricia and I bought the house roughly 9 years ago, and our only tenant has been our youngest, and we recently welcomed our first granddaughter. So we're looking to add a bedroom to the house for 532B, the apartment. And so we are looking to ask the board to lift the restriction on the number of bedrooms on the house. Because we have the history of the prior 9 years, the house being on town water and sewer, I think the only 2 things left to consider would be parking and overcrowding. Those would kind of be the 2 things to talk about. I included a photograph of the parking that's available on Mammoth Road, where we can easily, show that we can accommodate plenty of parking in front of the house. So that really shouldn't be an issue. And as far as the addition itself, we're looking to put the addition on the east side of the house, on the back of the house, so it wouldn't be visible from the street. So we shouldn't be dealing with any kind of an overcrowding issue either. So it will be a 2-level addition. The bedroom will be added for 532B downstairs for the apartment, and upstairs it would be a 3-season porch for us off of our bedroom.
Okay, would you like to go through the 5 points of law?
Okay. So the variance will not be contrary to public interest because the essential character of the neighborhood will not be changed and it will not impact the health, safety, or welfare of the general public in the neighborhood. The current proposed addition will be on the back of the house, as I stated, and will not result in any overcrowding. And again, the lots are small in the village, and we won't be adding any kind of traffic or anything like that to Mammoth Road. It really won't change the character of the neighborhood at all. Is the spirit of the ordinance observed? Yes, because the variance will not violate the basic zoning objectives and will not affect the essential character of the neighborhood. There are multiple 2-family homes on this whole section of Mammoth Road. And as I said, the parking is adequate for what we're trying to achieve. Substantial justice is done because the loss would be greater to us as the applicant than to the general public. Granting the variance will allow us to provide an affordable two-bedroom apartment during a housing shortage, which is consistent with the present use of the surrounding area. Will the values of the surrounding properties be diminished? I don't believe the values would be diminished at all. I would think that the neighborhood would realize at least a nominal improvement in home values if our home value increases as well. So no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property. So the property is unique, as I stated, because we are 100 feet wide and it diminishes to the east. The property lines were drawn, I believe the property, I couldn't really tell you when the property lines were drawn for this section where we currently are. I'm thinking it was somewhere around the turn of the century. The houses on either side of us are from roughly the turn of the century, so they're old lines. And the way that the house, our home, is positioned on the lot, this is really the only viable place that we could possibly add an addition. We can't go to the south because we're already very close to the property line. We can't go to the north because that side of the basement is already the utility room. It wouldn't be cost effective to really do anything on that side. So really to the east, which is behind the house, is the only place we could put it. And the proposed use is reasonable, we would argue.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions of the board for our applicant?
Few. So the proposed addition otherwise meets all setbacks? The issue is just the prior restriction on the variance, okay? And parking that you have, I see it's very interesting. I've lived here for a long time, never noticed it. So you have those parking spaces in front of the building. Is that driveway also available for parking? Okay.
Yes, so that's, the driveway on the left is ours, that's 532A, and to the right is 532B for the apartment.
And there are 4 spaces there?
At least 4, yeah. Yeah, there was a business there prior to this. This was then an insurance company, a shoe store.
And you say the addition to the back cannot be seen? It won't rise above the level of the existing house?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Well, I had a question. When I look back at the minutes from the meeting that set the initial restrictions.
Which was very interesting.
It was interesting. It was a different board than we have now. The issue.
We've been in here.
We're here now. I wasn't here either. So they came to the board because they couldn't have an in-law apartment because it wasn't, the people who were doing it were not the residents. I didn't look into in-law or anything because it didn't seem to be an issue here, but the people who are petitioning us are the residents now. This is an apartment that sounds like they want to use for family. Correct. Does that change anything? I didn't look into, hey, what does it mean, this is an in-law apartment, because I wasn't concerned with it when I looked at the agenda. It's a non-issue.
It doesn't change anything. I just find it interesting in those minutes, they don't actually, somebody proposes, let's put this limitation on, and there's no explanation as to why. It just says, we're gonna put this restriction on.
They have no discussion about
Right.
restrictions, and it just comes out of nowhere. And on the restrictions, I think we should restrict it to a total of 3 bedrooms for the building. Sounds like a good recommendation.
No comments. No parking issues, so we talked about it. That was what I implied.
Plenty of parking.
Any other questions of the applicant? All right, at this time, I'm going to bring it out to the audience. Anyone in favor that would like to speak on behalf of the applicant? I'll let the record show no one is approaching. Is there anyone in opposition? There is no, let the record show there's no one in opposition. I'm going to bring it back to the board for any last questions of the applicants. Okay. At this time, we're going to close the public portion. We're going to go into deliberations. Do we need any comments, or do we have to go over anything that is of concern before we go into the 5 points of law?
I
Are we good? Okay, let's do it.
Granting the variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because, let's say would not,
Agreed.
doesn't change the character of the neighborhood.
I agree.
As I mentioned, there's other two-family houses in the neighborhood.
Spirit of the ordinance would or would not be observed because,
I say it would. There seems to be adequate parking. They're on town water and sewer, so there's no septic and well issue.
I agree.
I agree.
Granting the variance would or would not do substantial justice because, let's say it would.
I agree.
I think the loss of the applicant is greater than any gain to the public by denying variance.
I agree.
Agree.
For the following reasons, the values of surrounding properties would or would not be diminished. I would say would not.
Would not.
Adding an addition wouldn't impact surrounding property values.
The surrounding properties are like theirs.
Right. Owing the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because, I would say there is not.
Agree, it's that pie shape.
It's a pie shape in that part of town that existed before zoning.
Pre-zoning, yep.
Right. Proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because, say is,
Agreed.
is adding an additional bedroom.
Is reasonable.
Comments, restrictions?
I have none. Anybody have any? No. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion in case number 215-2023-2 to grant the request for a variance from LZO 4.2.1.3.A.1 to allow a duplex on a lot with only 100 feet of frontage where 150 feet are required, 532 Mammoth Road, map 15, lot 222, zone AR1, Patricia and David Robbins, owners and applicants.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
In case number 215-2023-2, the request for a variance was granted.
Thank you.
Thank you. You this time?
You all set for the last one?
We're ready.
In case number 215-2023-3, a request for a variance from LZO 4.12 use table to allow vehicle sales wholesale in the C1 zone, which is otherwise prohibited, 184 Mammoth Road,
Unit 3, Map 6, Lot 72C, Zone C1, MKZ Auto owner, and Rahul Tawar, applicant. There's previous zoning about construction of an off-premises sign that is not relevant.
Good evening.
Good evening, Raul Talwar, 184 Mammoth Road. I am seeking a variance. I applied for a wholesale auto dealer license, not to have retail sales, and I was denied, and it was requested to get a variance. So my purpose of this business is not to bring in any trucks, not to do essentially anything at the location. Location is just to be able to obtain a wholesale dealer license. The way this wholesale dealer license works is I buy cars at the auction, I can sell it at the other auctions, or I can sell it to the other wholesale dealers. I can also export them out to the country, and I do have contacts to export them out to the country.
Okay, you'll need to go through the 5 points of law.
All right. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Although the application is for wholesale dealer license, there will be no selling, repairing, refurbishing, or working on automobiles, trucks, or SUVs, or any kind of motor vehicle whatsoever at the office location. It is merely an office where an employee will conduct transactions through outside dealer-to-dealer online sales through auctions. Considering this is a wholesale dealer license, there will be no trucks or trailers driving through the town or the building, nor will need a parking space or parked cars. All of the transactions will be conducted through the outside dealer-to-dealer online sales auction nationwide and exporting cars out of the U.S. from ports around the nation. Since no trailers, trucks, or extra car drive through the town, will have no effect in creating pollution, traffic, or even development of the town in any way. Our intent use as an office space, which is now confirming use as an existing business center development. This is a permitted use in District C1. The spirit of ordinance is observed. No alteration to parking lot, traffic, roadways will be required. All transactions will be conducted at dealer-to-dealer nationwide auctions and exporting cars out of the country through ports nationwide. The spirit of C1 District is to foster business center, the unit at 184 Mammoth Road, to do just that and will continue to do so. Substantial justice is done. Variance will not have any harmful effect to the general public of town due to the nature of the business will be performed. The value of surrounding properties will not be diminished. MKZ Auto LLC will have no negative effects on the surrounding property due to the nature of the business, as explained in the letter to the board. Number 5, literal enforcement of the provision of the ordinance would result in necessary hardship. I rent an office unit in a business development center. This is a unique situation which is causing an unnecessary hardship in the court enforcement. Has indicated I'm not zoned to operate wholesale auto business, when in fact I'm operating the business only as the office to take order and then use online dealer car auction portals for bidding, organize my transportation from auction site to my dealer clients or ports all around U.S. for exporting orders. I do not ask the town allow me to bring in motor vehicle to the site, but I have to have New Hampshire business address to obtain the license. As interrupted by court enforcement, I need variance. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance and my specific application, as I'm using the office in C1, which is permitted use. My purpose use is reasonable, 1, because all of the office units in the business development center are office use, and my purpose use is reasonable use, given that it will be no different from other offices in the complex. There is a unique special condition of the zoning in this instant, as the property will not be used in an office, but it's in order to obtain a New Hampshire auto dealer license. I have to meet the zoning or obtain a variance which is necessary to enable my reasonable use for my office unit.
Do any of the board members have any questions?
Why this space? Office spaces are allowed everywhere. Why this particular address for you?
This was the most reasonable space I can find to do my business in.
Any other questions? Okay, so in relation to the Coach Stop restaurant, the office space is exactly where? Across the way
Yes,
from the restaurant.
correct.
And there is presently other 2 offices that are rented out?
I only rented the office from the management company, and I don't know what other offices are rented inside.
Okay, so your unit is for how many people to work out of?
2 maximum.
And you are acquiring, have you already acquired your dealer license? Or not yet?
No, not yet. I have to go through the variance. I
Okay.
applied for it through the state, and state sent a letter to zoning, so.
Okay, and this dealer license, you're going to be having dealer plates with it, I assume?
It will come with 2 dealer plates, yes.
Okay, and you will be selling, you state cars. Are you selling only a particular type of car?
Mostly cars, like small cars, SUVs, trucks, but no trailers or no motorcycles.
And how does your customer road test a car that they would want to buy, or a pickup truck?
Because it's a wholesale license,
Yep.
it doesn't need to be road tested. The way auctions work, you bid on the auction, I would buy the car at auction at a certain dollar amount, and I can move it, either use my dealer plate, or I can transfer it over to another auction and sell the same car for maybe a profit of $500 or $600 at the same option as auction-wise.
So your dealer license is only to do wholesale?
Only to do wholesale.
So you do not have the ability under your dealer license that you are going to be applying for. You cannot sell to someone who sees your car online and wants to buy it. They
Right.
cannot buy it from you.
I cannot sell it to anybody that
Okay.
would, like a retail or a Facebook or anything like that.
So you have no retail work whatsoever.
No.
Okay. Where do the units that you're going to wholesale, where are they garaged before you sell them?
There's no need of garage, because they're garaged at the auction. So I move it from one auction to the other. And then if I buy them to export, then I move them from the auction to the export. And if I buy them and I have a buyer who's another car dealer, then I transfer it to them directly. So my orders are only based on the orders I get. I don't buy them to store.
Okay. So you have no need for any type of storage for the wholesale items?
Correct.
Okay. How many people do you have working for you?
It's only me for now.
Okay.
Do you
How-
plan on having employees?
I don't think so. My investment is not very huge. Very small, so I don't anticipate being bigger than what I'm doing right
Your hours of operation?
now. It will be 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Any other questions?
It appears from looking at the registry of deeds that this particular property is a condominium. Do you know that your use is allowed there?
I'm sorry.
So the property is part of a condominium, the Londonderry Medical Park condominium. You aware of that?
No.
So I'm not sure, I'm gonna go look at their declaration to see whether anything outside the medical purview is allowed. I just didn't know if you knew the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that. I would be honest with that.
Not that that's necessarily in our purview, but it might behoove you to check it out.
It does look like, I'm looking just on Google Maps, there's already an existing couple businesses in there. One of them says Church of Spiritual Life, one of them says Mobile Squared Repairs, another says Flex Work, WERC, so it doesn't seem like they're all medical at this time.
Kelly, do you have any pertinent information that we should be aware of for this complex?
I guess I would just caution the board about the current discussion about, what the owner of the property may or may not require for the condo aspect of it. It really focused on the use proposed and the reason why the applicant's here this evening. I'm not sure if Nick's input would be beneficial to get some more insight as to how the determination was made.
Thank you. Nick, is there any information that the board should be aware of for this condominium complex that we might not be aware of? Okay, thank you. All right. We're covering all bases for you. Do we have any other questions?
In your line of work, if another person were to become a car wholesaler, is it likely that they would operate it in the same way that you do, where no cars are stored on the premises, or is that unlikely?
So anybody that does wholesale license or wholesale dealer, that's how it's performed. Unless you're retail, then you buy it at the auction, you bring it to your location, and you refurbish, clean, whatever, mechanical, and you sell it to the retail public. But in my line of work, it only sell to one dealer to another dealer, or exporting, which is big, sending it to Africa.
So it's like arbitrage, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you, I guess, do you rent this particular?
I just started to, yes.
So when you rented the location, were you intending to do this and weren't aware that this business wasn't allowed in that zone?
I haven't said.
If I knew this, I wouldn't want to spend all the money I spend to get this far by licensing, paying my rents, paying my dues.
Okay.
And where do you operate out of currently?
So I don't really have a license right now because I don't have the license, so I can't operate. I do work with another gentleman who kind of, I help him out with the whole process. He's teaching me things, but that's about it. So he's like, I can only teach you, but I can't give you a license. So you have to go get your own license to do this. I do currently have a regular job. I'm a part of a small cleaning company based out of Worcester area in Massachusetts. That's what I do, so. But considering I have a family of 4, kids are going to college, I need to increase my income.
All right.
So you rented this office space because you don't live in New Hampshire?
I do not live in New Hampshire.
Okay, so in order to obtain your New Hampshire wholesale license, dealer license, you need to have an office or a home address
Right.
in New Hampshire.
Correct, which is in the plans right now. Until then, we'll see. But I do own a home there. We're looking to buy a home in Massachusetts. In process, but it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, because of the way the market is right now.
Okay.
Hey, Nick, it seems that wholesaling is allowed in C2 and in other, do we have space in those areas for rent and the like? Yeah.
I don't know what the real estate.
Okay, I was just curious, if in areas where this is a permitted use, and it's quite a few, if we had ample availability of spaces. I guess you're not a realtor.
So I guess the question would be to the applicant, did you look at other areas where this would be permitted allowed use?
I guess I should have called the town first before applying for it. But I did look, and everything I looked at was obviously a lot more expensive. And considering I only needed an office space, I didn't know the difference between the C1, C2. I looked and see, okay, this is the cheapest thing I can afford to be able to do what I need to do.
Okay. And you are only doing paperwork out of this location?
Barely,
Okay.
because it's all online.
And this location, you are renting, how many cars does it allow you to park in there for your,
For me, I
for
only
your
ever
rent?
park my own personal car.
Yep.
But that's all I have. That's the only space I have, unless I have somebody visiting, which I highly doubt, as I say. I visit my customers, nobody visits me.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? I'm gonna open it up to the public. If there is anyone that is for the applicant, let the record show there is no one. Also requesting anyone who is opposed to the applicant's request, let the record show there is no one. I'll bring it back to the board one last time for any questions that we may have of him. Okay, we're gonna close it off, the public portion, and go into deliberations. Does anybody have any concerns, questions, or anything that we have to hash out?
Well, I think if you're going to approve it, we're gonna have to put all those conditions on there.
My only thought is not pertinent to this case, but that the C1 and C2 districts seem to have quite a bit of overlap with certain exclusions. So the fact
But
that
it's no relevance to the case,
right, correct.
so we can't really bring that into the record.
Yep.
We have to stay focused on the 5 points of law as it is in regard to this request.
I guess raise the issue that if we approve this, why wouldn't we approve? I don't see something compelling, I haven't heard anything compelling yet that tells me that why we wouldn't do this for everyone who rented in the C1.
The problem is the fifth. I mean, that
Well,
property-
that is also a problem.
that's the problem.
But I think I'm even raising that for the first, so then everyone who wants to do something different in the C1 should be allowed. If it doesn't,
Well, I don't, for me,
Not
That's why I
everyone.
said,
yeah, for me, I don't have a problem as much with the first few because it's just an office and an office is an office. And he doesn't have customers, so in fact, it's less intrusive than many other businesses. But, I mean, the hurdle's gonna be 5.
Which is the hardship.
Yeah.
but I do think we set up like districts like C1 because we want a certain type of business to be here. If we start to say, it doesn't really matter, if it doesn't create a problem, then we're changing sort of, I think.
The slippery slope argument.
Well, I don't think it's a slippery, I think in this case, it doesn't matter. In another case, it could very much matter.
Sure.
Only because this is an office in which he's actually doing paperwork, and he needs a New Hampshire address in order to obtain his New Hampshire wholesale only license.
right.
So are you indicating that the hardship is not sufficient because it doesn't relate to the property and the fact that he's looking for an address to get the license, that hardship does not relate to the property itself?
That's my,
Okay.
that's my problem.
So that's why we go through the 5 points of law to hash this out. Okay,
We ready?
we're ready.
1, granting the variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because. I would say would not.
Would not.
I think I would say we change sort of the use of the district, slippery slope argument.
It would not alter the character of the neighborhood, so I'd say it would not.
I would say would not in this particular instance.
Before you read the next one, I'd like to open up back to the applicant at this time. Will you be requesting a sign, sir, for your business?
I have to talk to Nick about that. Signage for my name,
Yep.
yeah, so when I talk to state, they say you have to talk to town and to see what their requirements of the sign is. So when I call Nick and he said, well, that's after. Let's figure
So,
out.
so will you be placing a sign indicating your business name there as well?
If it needs to be on my office door, yes. So, yeah, I need to know what the town regulation might be on that. So every town has different regulations, so when I talk to state, they specifically told me to talk to the town about the signage.
So if the state requires you to post it, that's the only reason why you would be doing
That
it?
would be the only reason why I would need.
And if the state says you don't have to put a sign, would you?
If I don't have to put the sign, then I don't have to because I'm not working 100% from there, even though I need to be there if and when I need to. But I don't necessarily need a sign, but I think the hours should be displayed if somebody needs to reach out to me, whatnot.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'll close the public portion. Please proceed.
The spirit of the ordinance would or would not be observed because, I would say it would. I don't think it poses any risk to health, safety.
I agree.
Granting the variance would or would not do substantial justice because, I would say it would. I don't think we've seen any loss to the public.
I agree.
Okay.
For the following reasons, the values of the surrounding properties would or would not be diminished. I would say would not.
Would not.
Commercial area.
Correct. I agree.
Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because.
So this unit, this complex, it has a really unique shared entrance with the restaurant. And when the restaurant is really busy, all that overflow goes into that parking lot of this building. I mean, that's just a fact. There's not, in this particular parking lot for this condominium complex is very limited anyways. There's very few things that can fit in there.
I don't think the property's unique at all.
No, that's my
It's an
problem.
office building, whether it's used for medical or not, it's an office building, and I don't think that there's anything that makes it unique at all.
Well, only in regards to, it's very hard to get in there. And when the restaurant's really busy,
People illegally park.
they all go in there, and it's almost like that's the overflow for it. So,
I could start charging money and start a new business. License?
I'm just saying, I'm not saying so much that it's unique to the point that it's a unique office building. It's just that particular wedge right there has always been really, almost like it was associated with the restaurant. I've never seen anybody in the office complex.
Well, it used to be a very busy medical office.
It used to be a long time ago. So, anyways, go ahead, I digressed.
No, so the question stays, is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose, the ordinance provision, and the specific application of that provision to the property because.
Can I open it up for a quick question to the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an entrance on both sides of the building? Do you have access on one side or two sides to get into your actual office?
I only use one side. I didn't look at the other side.
You only use one side to get into your actual office?
That's what I used.
Yeah, there's another unit on the other side.
Another unit on another side, okay. The way that it was split up, I wasn't sure which way.
They are weird in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's what there is.
I would say there's.
I agree.
I agree.
He didn't go to me. On the application. No.
The proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because?
To use it for office clerical space is reasonable.
I agree with that.
I think in this case, it's not, because they're using the purpose of the office is to get the license.
He's doing administrative work there.
I understand.
In the office.
I understand. I'm gonna stand right.
Okay.
Okay.
You okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a no,
For the record.
for the record.
All over the place tonight.
I don't know how you could have an inconsistency there, honestly.
Okay. Sorry, I should give them to you.
And do we have any comments or restrictions? Conditions?
No.
I do. No vehicles that are for sale shall be at that location.
I don't think it has the votes to pass.
Right. Are you voting to pass it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well then, should we clarify?
Is that a motion? I'm sorry.
No.
No.
Okay.
On A1, on 5A1, I think there is a fair and substantial relationship, so that's a vote no.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you
And I agree with
and
you.
okay, so that's
Okay.
4 no's.
4 no's. Okay, perfect. All right.
We don't need restriction.
no.
Correct. All right, here we go.
In case number 215-2023-3, I'd like to make a motion to deny the request for a variance from LZO 4.12 use table to allow vehicle sales wholesale in the C1 zone, which is otherwise prohibited, 184 Mammoth Road, Unit 3, Map 6, Lot 72C, Zone C1, MKZ Auto LLC owner and Rahul Tawar applicant.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed.
Thank you.
In case number 215-2023-3, the request for a variance was denied.
Next order of business, request for a rehearing.
Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself.
Thank you.
I'm not leaving the room,
Okay, you got it.
So I was not here for this meeting, but I believe we've already had that you can vote on a motion for rehearing even if you weren't here, if you read the minutes and whatnot.
That is correct.
I have done that.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could I request to vote on this as Suzanne is not?
Yes, I have to now appoint you as a voting member this evening. Chris?
Thank you.
Do you read it into the record?
I do. Request for rehearing in case number, oh, it has no case, oh, it does have a case number. Request for rehearing regarding case number 1221-2022-2, in which the board denied a variance from LZO 4.1.2 to allow the use of a group childcare facility in the C2 zone, which is otherwise prohibited. Parcel is located at 298 Rockingham Road, Building J, Map 17, Lot 24, Zone C2. And I don't think we have to discuss, or do we?
We do not. Kelly, I would like some guidance for the request for this rehearing. I don't have any notation as to the applicant's request for the rehearing, anything special?
So the process is that the applicant has provided what you have in front of you.
Yep.
As new information or their reasoning for the request for rehearing. So the board should review and have a discussion amongst the board only and assess whether the board's decision is to grant the request or
Okay.
not the request.
Based on what was submitted?
Based on what was submitted.
What's submitted by the applicant, okay, thank you.
Having heard and voted on the original case and having read through all of the documents that were submitted after the case in evidence of rehearing, I believe that it is significant enough additional information to approve the rehearing, in my opinion.
Mitch?
Again, I had a question. Are we, one of the issues that I sort of wondered about, are we clear that David was not on the board by that evening? Like, I did not see anything that said he was official now, as was alleged. Are we clear?
Yeah, so I can address that. So obviously, when we looked at that, we did some investigation, for lack of a better term, into what actually led up to his resignation being presented to the town council on December 19th and then accepted. And what led up to that event was an email exchange between my executive assistant, Kirby Brown, and Mr. Armstrong, where Mr. Kirby group emailed people whose terms were expiring. Mr. Armstrong was somebody whose term was expiring and would have expired, my understanding is, at the end of the year. I think it's important that you hear that email exchange as it was actually presented, so that you can make a judgment about what actually happened on the 19th before the town council. Kirby's email was, this email is to remind you that your term is up on the board, committee, commission on which you serve. If you wish to be reappointed, please send me an email letting me know. If you wish to step down and not seek reappointment, please send me an email letting me know. I will need to know by next Friday, December 16th at the latest. And then Mr. Armstrong responds, I have enjoyed my time on the zoning board, but I feel it is my time to step down and give someone else a chance. So he said that I was going to discuss this with you before the meeting on the 21st. And then he ended by saying the zoning board meeting on December 21st will be my last. So that's one piece of this. The other piece of this is what actually happened before the town council. The chairman indicated that he had a letter of resignation from Mr. Armstrong. He did not read it or characterize the letter of resignation. A motion was then made and carried to accept Mr. Armstrong's resignation, which brings us here tonight.
Okay, thank you.
But I do believe that it was effective immediately, as stated during the town council meeting. Is that accurate?
I watched the recording a couple of times. I don't recall it being stated that it was effective either immediately or at some future time. It was, neither was stated. Correct.
Accepted the resignation as presented.
It didn't even say as presented. It just said the motion was to accept the resignation.
And I watched and didn't see the timing as well.
So he was effective on the board at the time of our December meeting. He didn't vote either way, but his comments and questions
So I think the
were not
issue,
out of place.
whether he voted or not is not the issue.
That's correct. Yeah,
I agree with that.
that's absolutely in agreement. I think that the rehearing should be granted.
I agree with you. It's just, it's not,
It doesn't look right.
Well, not that it doesn't look right, but the fact that there's any chance
Right.
that you can go to the Superior Court and say, this person's here, then it's coming back to us anyway. So let's just do it again, clean, without this specter over it. That would be my thought.
Yeah.
I would agree, I think that's the cleaner path.
I also believe that even without that information, that there was enough presented in addition to what we heard, that it would be sufficient for a rehearing.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
The red herring in the room is the resignation, period. It was just, it's not handled properly. So with the knowledge that we have today, I would vote for rehearing. Irene?
I would vote for the rehearing because of the resignation.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
I'd like to have a motion, please.
I move to accept the request for rehearing regarding case number 122122-2.
Do I have a second?
Do we want to limit the rehearing to any particular, or just going to do a general rehearing?
I think we gotta do it all over.
Yeah.
Let's get it, let's do it clean.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Rehearing granted?
Do we have a form for that? I don't.
I do not. Do we have any form we need to fill out? No. Okay, we're good. Okay, no, do you want this?
I'll take the main, if you have the main.
I have this one. We all have one.
We each have one? Okay.
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Community-
yeah, I stepped down from voting member.
You are now removed. Any communications or miscellaneous or other business that we need to attend to, Kelly, that I am not aware of?
None this evening.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn this evening?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Irene. Do I have a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.